Welcome into Sports Films Betting Podcast. College basketball. We're breaking down 5 games on the Thursday slate with Mid-Major Matt. Mid-Major Matt, welcome to the pod. How are you?
Doing well, Drew. As we tape this right now, sweating out a 4-overtime home underdog. But yeah, other than that, fun times as we approach March. Just under 7 weeks, I think, until the selection show.
7 weeks away until March Madness is getting underway. I can't believe it's come that fast. But hey, it's a great time to be betting college hoops. In my opinion, the best sport to get an advantage over the odds makers, especially before March when there's not a lot of eyeballs on it. So let's try to find more winners than losers on the Thursday slate. We are recording this late on Wednesday, so if the numbers have changed, hopefully they're moving in our direction here, Matt. We got 617, 618 up first. College of Charleston at James Madison, JMU here. Total of 152.5, 4 in the hook. College of Charleston laying on the road here, Matt.
Yeah, you'll notice a trend with a lot of our games. A bunch of them are in my area tomorrow, and we like to talk about those because I'm familiar with those. So let's start out. Charleston is 12-9, 6-3 in the CAA. They've lost 3 of their last 4. 2 of those came at home against Northeastern and UNC Wilmington. Charleston not playing great basketball right now. Grant Riller is a stud, though, probably one of the best players in the conference. They've run road games at Marshall, Drexel, Delaware, and Elon. When you take a deeper dive into Charleston's numbers, one of the things they do really well is they hit their free throws, 77.2% from the free throw line. So if this is any sort of close game, that will help them out in the end. The thing is, I don't know if it's going to be close. If you look at James Madison, they're 8-12, 1-8 in the CAA. They've lost 6 straight. They play with the 7th quickest tempo in America, and they have the 9th quickest offensive possession. So they're pretty much jacking up shots no matter what, and it's doing so in a timely fashion. They are quite the opposite, 328th when it comes to free throws, 64%. Their last couple of home scores, 78-71, 80-76, 88-72, 82-76. Those are conference games. These two teams played in Charleston back on January 4th. Charleston won 85-69 at home. It was a 73-possession game. Grant Riller and Brevin Galloway combined for 52 points. The team shot 50% from two-point land, 56.5% from three-point land. JMU, they struggled terribly. 45.7% from 2, 31.2% from 3 in that game. Wilson and Lewis combined for 38 points. To me, the only play here is the over. If for some reason there's a bit of a buyback on Charleston, it goes down a little bit, then I might be looking at Charleston, but not this bigger number of 5. I don't like laying that many points on the road. But to me, this seems like an over here. JMU's going to get a lot of possessions. Charleston's going to oblige because they want to score a lot of points and kind of get out their frustrations from this recent losing stretch. So I'm looking at the over here in the Charleston-JMU game.
All right, Matt, and talking about teams in your area, William and Mary, that's close to you, right?
Williamsburg's about hour and a half, 2 hours away. So yeah, it's not too far.
In that same region. And Matt, you can talk teams next to you all you want. As long as you're throwing out more winners than losers on a consistent basis, I can tell you I don't mind. The listeners likely don't mind. We got 619, 620 up next. Rotation numbers here if you're following along at home. 4 o'clock Pacific tip. Northeastern at William and Mary. We're seeing William and Mary minus 2.5, mostly at home. We're seeing Chris show just a 2. 142 being the total in this one, Matt.
Well, we talked about it last week, and I had a lot of people, and it was great that we had the interaction because last week we talked about the total in this game, and I said, let's wait because when the total came out last week, it dropped 3 points. Literally, open, dropped 3 points. I got a little scared, didn't find anything, and didn't officially fire on it. We had some of our followers who were convinced that I was really into it, and they did anyway, so they won because, as I said, William & Mary doesn't get a lot of these totals. Let's go back to the last time these two teams played, January 4th, in Matthews Arena, which is a cavernous hockey arena. And William & Mary won 66-64. Here's a couple of things to consider from that matchup. The two teams combined for only 7 free throw attempts. So if you think about it, if they get more attempts and there's more made free throws, it goes over a number. I don't remember what the number was for that game, but it's probably not. It probably went under because it was a 66-64 game. William & Mary got 38 points and 17 rebounds from their twin towers, Van Vliet and Nathan Knight. Van Vliet, the transfer from Wisconsin. Nathan Knight, the kid that at one point had the most double-doubles in college basketball. Van Vliet had 5 turnovers in that game, so that's something to look at. And William & Mary shot just under 63% from two-point land. Northeastern in that matchup had 4 in double digits. They shot just under 50% from two-point land, but they were out-rebounded 34-25 because, as I said, very few teams can match the physicality of the two big men that the Tribe have. So let's fast forward to now. Huskies are 11-10, 5-4 in the CAA. They've lost 4 of their last 6, but have 6 road wins already this season. Now, granted, no one as good as William & Mary, but it's still something to consider that this team's not bad outside of their own building. They're the 4th best team from the free throw line, from the 3-point line, also the 4th best team in the country, 33rd from 2-point land. But defensively, they are 323rd against 2-point shots. So if you think about it, look, they're not going to play a ton of possessions. Northeastern prefers a slower game. But when they do get these possessions, they're scoring points. 3 straight road games were played in the 70 possession range. So they're having trouble slowing down teams when they're not at home. William & Mary's lost 2 of their last 3. They are really frustrated against Towson last time out. 70-58, they lost at home. Just classic case of Towson's physicality matches William & Mary's physicality. Towson plays really good defense, and we'll look at Towson again when those 2 teams play later on this season. William & Mary's 17th best against the 2, as shooting the 2, 39th, from shooting the 3. Someone in Williamsburg at every home game has reached 70 points, whether that's the Tribe or the opponent, in all but 2 home games this year. One of those came against ODU, who never scores 70 points, it seems like, on the road. So to me, the play here is on the over. I know that we see the 66-64 game in Boston, but as I said, 7 free throw attempts. That's not going to happen once again in this one. Both offenses are really efficient. Should be a tight game. Free throw shooting is probably a plus for both of these teams. So as I said, and I keep saying, like, numbers in the low 140s are rare when it comes to William & Mary, so I'll take the chance of over 142 here. That's probably going to be the best bet that we give out for this podcast.
Yeah, okay. Northeastern, William & Mary over 142 from Mid-Major Matt here. And Matt, we're seeing the opener at Chris be 144, bet down to 142. So do you think that's somebody out there setting this up and tomorrow morning it's going to skyrocket up? Or is this a differing opinion and you think somebody's just wrong?
Oh, gosh. I hope we're not doing this again. We're replaying last week all over again. So here's what I'd say to people. If you want to take the number now at 142, I say go for it. If you want to wait and see if it continues to go down by the time you watch this podcast in the morning, take your chances. But as you said, we've seen some times where totals go down a little bit and then you wake up the next morning and it's up. So I'm going to leave it up to you. I like it at 142. I'm not afraid of anything. I don't think there's any flus. I don't think there's any injuries because both these teams actually have a little bit of depth that if somebody's injured, I may not be worried. I wouldn't love it if it was Nathan Knight or Andy Van Vliet, but like, I don't know if we can go through this again. Yeah, somebody bet it down. I don't know. Is Chris a sharp book? Is it a square book? Do you know anything about them?
Oh, yeah. Costa Rican International Sportsbook. Yeah. They right there in San Jose, Costa Rica. I know them fairly well, and I would consider them a sharper book. They do take big bets, but it really would have more of a question of, because early on, limits aren't that high anyway. So it would more be, is it a setup or is there a group or a prominent bettor out there that thinks differently? And I don't know the answer to that. I was just wondering, what you really thought. And you tend to handicap it like I do in terms of, I like it at this number, and I don't really care what the market does. If it keeps going down, great, more value for me. When it comes to college basketball totals, I don't really care what other people are doing.
Yeah, and you're one of the best on the website when it comes to totals, so certainly that's good advice from you. I just think, look, we don't get a lot of totals from William & Mary this low. I know they're not as fast as they were last year. I know they're not as free and easy and footloose as they were last year, but like, I mean, the only case I could see for the under is if Northeastern sets their pace and both teams struggle a little bit, but their efficiency numbers on offense are really good. And as I said, you're going to get more than 7 free throw attempts probably in this game. That's why it was only a 66-64 game. The sight lines in Matthews Arena are crazy. The way that it's all set up, because as I said, it's a hockey arena. I just think at 142, I like the over here. And as you said, I mean, look, if it goes up to 145, then we're kind of pushing it. But as of now, and if you wake up and it's 142 to 144, I say hammer the over and just go for it.
All right. He's Mid-Major Matt on Twitter at Mid-Major Matt. I'm on Twitter at Drew Martin Bets. Feel free to throw us any questions. We've been doing this each and every Wednesday night for Thursday's card. Little look ahead, kind of early betting here on the college basketball cards. So let us know if you're liking the content. Let us know if you're not. And maybe we can improve it in the future. Mid-Major Matt, if you're in kind of the Richmond, Virginia area there, you can listen to him on ESPN radio. Matt, you want to throw out the kind of the colors there?
It's ESPNRichmond.com online. I'm on from 3 to 4 Eastern time, of course, for those of you who listen or watching us in the West Coast or Las Vegas, 3 to 4 Eastern time. I have a great show on Saturday from 11 to noon most Saturdays. And if you're considering betting on any school in the state of Virginia, it's basically a around the state show where I talk to play-by-play guys who cover the teams, people who are involved with a lot of the programs, get last-minute injury information. So on Saturdays from 11 to noon, we have a college basketball show that gives you a lot of information as we approach tip time at 12 o'clock if you want to check out something like that.
That's really cool, man. That could be an advantage to a lot of sports bettors out there. Is it something like when the show ends, you're logging onto your account and using the little tidbits you heard about to make a little money, or?
So from time to time, now I talk to some play-by-play guys, so of course they don't give me anything like, hey, you should take this side or this spread or anything like that. Now I can't tell you what they say off the air. That's a little different because I don't want to get them in trouble with the NCAA. But it's just information. Obviously we get the latest line moves by then, and the beat reporters are very good. I feel like beat reporters know their teams very well, and you can find out there's some homerific beat reporters, but most of those guys are around those teammates so much that they know the teams better than even we do.
Is the ODU guy? His first name is Harry, right?
Well, that's Harry Minimum covers the team for the newspaper. I talked to Ted Alexander, their play-by-play guy. But, yeah, Harry Minimum is, I believe, with the Daily Press or the Newport News area. So, yeah, he's one of those guys who covers the Monarchs.
Okay. And did you I just noticed whenever I guess I had a beat on ODU in their college football, and I was always reading his stuff. Do you ever talk to him?
I have not. We don't do as much ODU here in Richmond because that's pushing it towards Norfolk and the Newport News area. So that's about 2.5 hours. And plus, they're not very good. So ODU basketball and football, I spend more time with Virginia Tech, VCU, Richmond, and all that stuff. So, yeah, we do. It's usually about 5 minutes, and it's usually not as much in depth as we go into it, the other stuff.
Speaking of ODU, Matt, they're up next, 635-636. The Monarchs at Southern Mississippi. We got a low total here, just 127 as we're talking now, and competitively priced game, either -1 or -1.5, depending where you're shopping. That's the Monarchs on the road.
So I don't know necessarily if I have a play here. This is more of an information thing for the listeners and the watchers, because I just feel like, a team I know a little bit. I want to give you some information here because, I struggle laying points with ODU, especially on the road. They've won 2 of their last 3, but they have just 1 true road win this year. It was at Northeastern back in November. The offense has scored less than 70 points in 7 of their last 8. One of those also went to 70 points. They're 343rd in 3-point shooting. They're 298th in 2-point shooting. So they can't really score. Plus, they just lost Jason Wade, who's a guard, really good defender, 5.6 steal percentage. He shot 60% from 2-point land. Now, this is probably their second or third game without him, so they've kind of adjusted. You might have missed the opportunity to see that line value with him out. But the problem is Southern Miss is not very good. They're 6-15, 2-6 in Conference USA. They've won 2 of their last 3. Somehow they scored 81 points on Rice. They put up 84 at UAB. But this offense is anemic. Get these numbers. So ODU is 343 in 3-point shooting. Southern Miss is 333rd in 3-point shooting. They are 176 in 2-point shooting. So neither of these teams are very good. But the problem is Southern Miss defense is very hot and cold. They're 316th in effective field goal percentage, but if you look at their statistics, you could tell early on if they're going to play good defense. I don't think I have a play in this game. I don't like giving out unders, but I would consider the under here. And certainly, depending upon which way this line moves, I don't like ODU as a favorite, maybe as a slight dog, but neither of these teams are very easy to trust right now.
What do you got against unders, Matt?
You're the king of the unders and stuff like that. But I could take unders in football. I could take unders in baseball rather easily. But there's just something about basketball unders that it makes it so difficult because you know how it goes. We're constantly thinking in our heads, all right, under 16 points were scored. Then it's, time it out by 4. And then the second half, it's just a lot of math. And I can't enjoy a game if I take an under.
It does take a certain mindset. It's almost like or at least I learned to root for different things, defensive, kind of getting back on defense. I'm always rooting for that, defensive rebounding, things of that nature. But you're right. It does take a certain type of person or better to bet unders. And also, you could call it right, Matt, and then in the last 2 minutes, it becomes a foul fest and it screams over, 40 points in the last, however long. That's very frustrating in itself. So you got to be ready for those. And guys, we got one game left here, a late night degenerate special on the West Coast, and do want to throw out a podcast coupon code here for Mid-Major Matt's 3-day all access, MMM29 at checkout. That's MMM as in Mid-Major Matt 29 at checkout. $29 for his 3-day all access, less than $10 a day. SportsMemo.com. 8-2 his last 10, so he's heating up on the college basketball hardwood. We got Gonzaga at Santa Clara, 691-692, 10:30 Eastern tip here, 15.5. That's the Zags laying on the road, 156.5 being the total here, Matt.
Well, I think the total's this high because if you remember last time, Gonzaga at home won 104-54. And they scored 80 points at the half. They combined. And remember, this was like, we talked about this. I think we had this game a couple weeks ago on our podcast, and we talked about, look, Santa Clara's got a glossy record. They're playing really good, and it didn't really matter. Gonzaga had 5 in double figures that game. They shot almost 60% from 2. They were 8 of 21 from 3, and they just swamped the Broncos out. Santa Clara 17-5. They play at a fast tempo, 44th fastest tempo, and their average offensive possessions 15.3 seconds. Home games against the elite in the conference, they haven't had one yet. Their only quote-unquote game against the elite so far, they won at St. Mary's 67-66. The game before, they lost by 50 to Gonzaga. We know everything about Gonzaga. Most efficient offense in basketball, 7th in three-point shooting, 3rd in two-point shooting. They have the 32nd quickest pace. They also average possessions of 15.3. Road games in conference, 85-72 at Portland, 94-50 at San Diego, 87-62 at Loyola Marymount. The always crucial thing is what's the look-ahead factor? Is St. Mary's or BYU next? Nope, neither of them are next. They're at San Francisco, so there's no real look-ahead here. I really like taking the first half overs in Gonzaga games. They're putting up monster points in a lot of these first halves. They get the focused effort in the first half. And hell, you get a focused effort from the other team in the first half as well before the game starts getting to be a blowout. So I don't know. We obviously don't know what the numbers are yet for this one in the first half, but I've been making some money this year betting first half overs in Gonzaga, and this is probably not going to be any different. I'll look at the first half over in this one, excuse me.
So first half over in Gonzaga Santa Clara?
Yeah, I mean, look, we could guess 156.5. It may be what, 75, 76, 77? I'm guessing. Usually about that.
Yeah, I would say 74 to 76, somewhere in that range.
Yeah, I like that. I think Gonzaga, once again, can get 45 or 50 themselves. I think Santa Clara will play better at home. And once I said 15.3 possession seconds for both teams, so you're going to get a lot of shots and a lot of opportunities. So I would take a shot in the Gonzaga first half over, especially at 74 to 76.
All right. He's Mid-Major Matt on Twitter at Mid-Major Matt. I'm on Twitter at Drew Martin Bets. We got coupon code MMM29 at checkout for his 3-day all access package. Only $29, less than $10 a day. MMM29 at checkout. Matt, anything else you want to throw out here before we shut this down?
No, the only other thing is, look, we're getting some rematches here. Make sure to comb over the box score of the first matchup, and don't just assume because somebody won by a lot the first time, they're going to do it the second time in a different locale. So make sure to take a look at the box scores to see how the game progressed, and you'll get a better idea.
All right. We'll have Mid-Major Matt back on. We got some cross-sport Super Bowl props you want to talk, right, Matt?
Yes, the college basketball versus Super Bowl props. I've already got a couple that I've isolated, and we'll hopefully have time for that later on this week.
All right, so stay tuned, guys, on the YouTube channel and the podcast tab for Mid-Major Matt. We'll have some good Super Bowl props action, so stay tuned. And we'll be back with Minty Bets as well, talking Super Bowl props. So stay tuned, guys. Best of luck with your bets.